Hi folks, my name's Chuck Newt, and I'm with Winging Pig Barbecue, and you're watching a new episode of Chuck's Cooking. And tonight we are going to make meatloaf, jambalaya, pork rib tip, collard greens, ham and beans, full slab spare ribs, and much more. So come on and follow along. Okay folks, well today I'm going to do a little handheld action here. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to show you folks. I've been threatening to show you how I go about making my baked beans. I also threatened to show you on one of my other rib videos how I go about, I use up some of the leftover parts off of the ribs, particularly the skirts and the end pieces off of the ribs. Maybe that last rib where I'm squaring up the rib, the St. Louis style ribs after I cut them down into rib tips and ribs. So let's get turned around here. I'm going to take you up here and show you what we're doing up here on the smoker real quick. Okay, so I just put these on a little bit ago. I got 9 racks of ribs up here, along with their associated tips down below. Now if I pull this rack out a bit, see where we're going with this. Right here starts the beginning of the tips coming the rest of the way down. Across here at the front and all the way from here over are just some of the trimmings, the skirts and whatnot that come off of these ribs. And I kind of like to refer to it after they're smoked as pork jerky. Now don't get me started, it's not really jerky because fat content is way too high for jerky, but they certainly make a nice snack. And I also put them in some of my food, particularly the baked beans and my collard greens when I cut them up. So we're going to leave these in here for a couple hours, let them get some good smoke on them, and then we're going to take them in and we're going to use them in our baked beans. So there we go. Stick around, see where we're going with this. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours now, and you can see this meat is starting to look pretty good in here. Get ready to give it a spray. Give it one more hour before I wrap the ribs and the rib tips. But these here I'm going to take off probably. I might give them another half hour. And then I'll pull that off of there and we'll be ready to move on with some beans. Okay, so we're ready to get started putting these beans together. A couple housekeeping things. First of all, these pieces here that I smoked, the skirts and some of them are also the end pieces off of the ribs. I normally cut that last little rib off the end and just to kind of square them up and make them look a little more presentable. Now, so get this glove on here. I'm going to take some of these. Also, I do go ahead and spice these or rub them, some rub on them, just like I would the ribs or the tips. Now, you can see these have some of the yes they do, some of the silver skin still on them. And so maybe I can just pull that off of there. It would be a whole lot more tender. They would be a whole lot more tender if I had left them on to cook with the ribs and the tips. This is a piece of the skirt, and it definitely has silver skin on it. Also, I may have forgotten to mention this, I'm making baked beans for a crowd. Now, of course, you could size this thing down and You use some pulled pork in your baked beans. You could also use some bacon in your baked beans, ham. Any kind of smoked meat would work. Nothing says I have to make these small either. Now the baked beans are going to actually go into the smoker here in a little bit, and they're going to smoke for a couple hours open with an open lid. There's one. This is another skirt right here. I think I'll go with one of these. This is actually the end. See the rib sticking out right there, that last rib. And believe it or not, I even sold some of this, maybe a pound worth or so, to my next door neighbor. He loves it. It is quite tasty. Not going to fight it too much. I'll let it go. Alright. One more piece of this. Again, that's a piece of the skirt. It has, quite pretty good meat content in that skirt. I just hate to let it go to waste. And for all intents and purposes, the long period that I'm going to put either the baked beans or the collard greens here in a little bit into the smoker, you're almost doing a braise to it, which will help tenderize it, just as it would braising any other kind of meat, or very similar to wrapping the ribs. I can move over. That's going to get saved. The other pieces over there are going to get saved for the for some collard greens. At least part of them are. Now then, my big pan. And I can just go ahead and dump those right on in like so. Then what I've got here is two number 10 cans of pork and beans that I have drained. Now then, how well you drain these pork and beans may be determined by how well or how long you may have to hold the beans after they're made, because you don't want them to get too thick and dry out on you if you've got to hold them for a while. I've mentioned this swing weight can opener in one of my other videos. And there you go, you see how easy that thing just cranks around and takes care of this number 10 can. So these are pork and beans. There you go. Fancy pork and beans, that. One more can. As I say, these have been drained. But they do still have some moisture in them. And you will see here shortly how it mysteriously appears. Do a little house cleaning here, getting some stuff out of the way. Now then, we're going to start adding our ingredients. You see there's still some liquid down in there from the beans. Now then, 1 jar, 16-ounce jar of paste picante sauce. Actually, this one's salsa. When I went to the store the other day, they did not have any 16-ounce jars of the picante sauce, and I have built my recipe around a 16-ounce jar. And I have looked up on Pace's site to find out what the difference is between their picante sauce and salsa. And the only difference is the picante sauce has a finer cut. It is all the same ingredients. Now I've got 1 cup of molasses here. I've got 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of ground mustard, and 1 teaspoon of, in this case, it's kosher salt. I don't know if there's any particular reason why it needs to be kosher salt, but that's how I made my recipe. Alright, now we're just going to mix this all up together real good. And you'll see that these beans begin to take on a very nice dark color that most people would associate with baked beans rather than pork and beans. Something odd. If you've ever tried tasting just taking and sticking your finger in dry mustard and tasting it. Ooh, it is not a very pleasant taste, actually. But sometimes it works in things, and I've found that it works very well in baked beans, in these baked beans. Now you start to see that the hunks of meat in here. Also, you want to stir this for quite a while because you want to dissolve that brown sugar that we put a cup of in here. Alright, I think that's pretty well got it. And so the next step is to take this out, and we're going to put it on the smoker for a couple hours. In reality, the couple hours is going to be tomorrow. Right now I'm going to put a lid on it and put it into the refrigerator, and then tomorrow morning it will go onto the smoker and they will be ready in time for lunch. Some good looking beans though. So I will finish this off tomorrow when I put them on the smoker. Let them go on there for a couple hours with the lid off, of course. I want to put some smoke into these beans. And like I said, there we go. Stick with me, and tomorrow morning we'll put these on the smoker and we'll see where they go. Alright folks, there you go. It's about 9:05, 9:10 in the morning, and I've got these baked beans in here in the smoker. They've been in there for probably about 40 minutes, I guess. And here in just a little bit we'll be pulling them out of there. I also have collard greens over here, and mac and cheese over here, all getting smoked all at the same time for about 2 hours. So stick with me, we'll be right back. Alright folks, so after 2 hours in the smoker, there we go. That's our finished product for our baked beans. Still got some good juice down in here. You can see the smoke on the top here. That mixed in. So all of it's got some good flavor. And I'm going to move some of this over into one of these crock pots over here. Got pulled pork, mac and cheese, one's empties, baked beans, and the far end is the collard greens. Alright, folks, do me a favor. Folks, do me a favor. If you like what you're seeing, hit like and subscribe down here in the bottom right hand corner. And stay tuned, there's always more to come. And thanks for watching.